So I heard that your friends wanted some true insights into a man's psyche.
Yes, so on Instagram I posted and I asked for any of the ladies on there who wish to get a man's perspective on things to ask their questions. So I have my fabulous husband, Danny,
I am here.
on today.
I am but thy humble servant.
To answer these questions. So, are you ready?
Fire away.
Okay. Alright, so the first one is, which do men truly prefer or benefit from? Domestic support or help with provision?
I think this question is very situational. It all goes back to whether it makes more sense for one spouse to stay home or for both spouses to work. I can only give you my perspective. I think it's different probably for a lot of different guys. I'm sure some men would rather have two incomes and hire childcare and utilize the public school system for their kids' education and all that. Myself, I am a big proponent of myself working and Sarah being able to stay home and keep the house running smoothly, being able to take care of Carrie, train her, and teach her, and have that quality parent-child bond. But I think it really is very dependent. I think if you don't have kids, I think most guys are definitely going to value a second income to be able to start working towards goals of owning your own house or any of your financial goals. Mm-hmm. So I think it just really depends on your family and what your goals are. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot, obviously, from our lifestyle to be said for living on less money and having a smoothly run house, having well-trained children that you have a good relationship with, and making do with a little bit less.
It's much more peaceful.
Yes.
At least in our case, for sure.
Yes. On that note as well, I think if you have a wife that uses that time to support the household, if that's done in a constructive manner to where the guy feels like the house is running smoothly and things are peaceful when he comes home, I think that's worth a lot of money to him. But if you're not getting that second income for the family and he still comes home and the house is a wreck and it's chaotic and nothing's getting done at home anyway, he's probably going to feel like, well, she might as well go get a job and we'll hire somebody to help with childcare and all that stuff. So I think a lot of it depends on the woman's perspective as well.
Okay, so the next one is, how can a wife better support her husband after having kids? That's a good one.
So let's say, as in our situation, that after we had kids, Sarah stayed home and I was still working full time. I can think of at least, I think, 3 ways that I felt very supported by you after having kids.
This is going quite well.
The first way, I felt that she supported me so well. I work nights sometimes, and so I'm up periodically at night at work. And so when I'm at home, it's so nice to sleep through the night. Sarah was kind enough when we had Carrie that she, almost 100% of the time, maybe 100% of the time, was the one who would get up and get Carrie a bottle, change her diaper. And that was so amazing for me to be able to get some solid nights of sleep at home, so that when I went to work, I was well rested and I could do my job. That would have been really hard for me if I wasn't getting sleep at work and I wasn't sleeping at home because of the baby. So that was huge to me that Sarah was willing to do that, and I think she was able to do that because she was staying at home and not working a day job.
Yeah, that probably helps a lot.
Another way I felt very supported by Sarah, even after we had kids, but she'd still get up before I go to work and get up early in the morning and make me breakfast. Or if I was going to be gone somewhere working during the day, she would make me lunch.
Oh.
So even though she had kids to take care of and sometimes she was up at night, I still felt super supported by that. Another way I've certainly felt supported by her after we had kids was that kids, if any of you haven't had kids, can make a wreck of your house in about 2 minutes. And so you constantly have to be both training them to pick up after themselves and helping them pick up after themselves. And
I don't want to look at my house right now.
So Sarah's been very good about trying to keep the chaos under control and making this a peaceful place to be and keeping the house in order. So I've really appreciated that.
Okay, the next one. What do men think when they hear a woman say she wants to be a homemaker?
Well, it definitely depends on the man.
Yeah.
That some men that would totally turn off because they're like, no, we need 2 incomes. We have to pay for the boat or whatever it is. Somebody with my view, that's what I was looking for. I wanted somebody that could fill that role in the family of being in charge of household things, keeping the house running smoothly, taking care of the kids, making the house a peaceful place to come back to instead of a base from which you go to all your jobs and everything else, and everybody's gone all the time. So to me, that's what I was looking for. So I thought it was a great thing when Sarah said she wanted to be a homemaker.
Mm.
I might not have been as interested in pursuing our relationship if Sarah had not wanted to be a homemaker, well, at least while we had kids at home. I fully supported Sarah working out of the home before we had kids, and I'm still fine if she wanted to get a part-time job or maybe even a full-time job if we could work it out, but overall I think it works really well having her at home.
Yeah, that makes sense. The next one is, what is the number one thing that communicates disrespect to you as a man?
The number one thing. I think the number one thing that communicates disrespect to me is when I feel controlled in any area. I think when a guy feels that he's been controlled by his spouse, I think that both produces counterproductive results for the spouse, and it makes the guy feel super disrespected. If you've ever read the book Love and Respect, it talks about the crazy cycle, where the more the guy feels disrespected, the more unloving he is to his wife, and the more the wife feels unloved, the more she will disrespect her husband. And so this is a great question. So again, I think guys value freedom, especially for us younger married folks. When you're single, you make your own decisions, you get to do whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want. You don't have other people to think about or to think about how your decisions affect your spouse. And you don't have anybody else telling you what to do. So I think an innate thing that guys have is valuing a sense of freedom and autonomy. Thank you. And it's very easy for women to step on that and be trying to help them, perhaps even, and telling them what to do or how to do it. Or I think in most areas that's very counterproductive for us guys. I'm trying to think of some examples. Maybe even like if the guy knows we need more money, and so he wants to take all the overtime he can at work, and the wife says something like, I don't want you to take that overtime. You haven't hardly been home this week, or you can't do that. You haven't hardly seen Carrie this week, or just says no. I think that makes the guy feel controlled, and that results in him feeling disrespected, perhaps even, because he feels like, well, I'm making the money for us, or for our goals, or this is to further our family, and so he doesn't maybe even feel appreciated for what he's trying to do for the family. But what Sarah has done for me, whenever I want to take overtime at work or be gone extra time somewhere to try to bring in more income, either she's totally fine with it and she says, yeah, that's fine, go for it, or she'll say, well, I feel like we haven't spent much time together, kind of, but now that you know how I feel, do whatever you think is right. And that puts the ball back in my court. It makes me feel like she's not controlling me. She's making me feel like I still have autonomy to make the right decision for our family, and I think that's huge. I think anytime a wife tries to control her husband in that manner, it becomes counterproductive for both of us.
Yeah, I think it's true. Should we answer the how did you guys meet question? Give a very shortened version.
Maybe you could cover that because you have better memory than I do.
Yeah, so I'll tell my first part of the story because I remember meeting Danny before he remembers meeting me. So I was up at a dance when I was 17, and it was a family Grange dance, and I just have this one memory of dancing with Danny, And the three things that I remembered about him was that he had a really good smile, he was really buff, and he was wearing cowboy boots. And a friend of mine told me that his name was Danny. So that's the only memory I have of him. Well, a year
Obviously,
later...
she got mixed it up with a different name.
Well, a year later, he showed up at this young adult Bible study that I was going to, and I recognized him from this dance, and I had, like, totally forgotten about him. So we introduced each other, met each other, and then I told him, I was like, hey, I think I happen to have met you before. Well, it turned out he happened to be at the next dance, which was like a month later, surprisingly. And we danced together, and we sat down and visited for quite a while afterward, and kind of got to know each other, learned that we had a lot of things in common. And then maybe 3 months later...
She said, I think what I remember from that is she said she was painting their house that summer.
Oh,
so I was like,
I
have a house that needs painted.
Apparently, I also said, you look like a guy that would have a truck, and he thought it was a pickup line, but I didn't mean for it to be. So, like 3 months later, I think, he came to the Bible study a couple more times, and he asked me out. We dated for 9 months.
I was coming because I was studying Proverbs 31.
Yes. Like, so that's how we met.
Oh, the Proverbs 31 one.
So that's how we met. We got engaged, I think after like 9 or 10 months of dating, and got married 4 months later. When I was 19 and he was 24, I think.
And the rest is history.
Yeah. Had a kid.
I do have to say that's one of the clearest times I've seen God working in my life. You should tell him about like your journaling and stuff before.
Oh, yeah. So I had a couple of other guys that we were kind of interested in each other for a while and stuff, and afterward I wrote
Never told me this.
They were good guys, but I wrote down things that I learned from the relationship. And I had a pretty specific list of things that I really wanted to find in a husband. And it turned out Danny fit every single one of them to a T, which was crazy. He was like basically exactly what I've always dreamed of. So yeah, that was kind of crazy. Is that what you were thinking of?
I was thinking of, it seemed like you were praying that I'd ask you out or something before I asked you out.
Oh yeah, there were like tons of prayers answered during this time. So at one time, I prayed and I was like, Lord, if Danny likes me, help him to message me. We had never texted before. He didn't have my number. We were friends on Facebook, but that was about all. And literally that afternoon, not to preach the name it and claim it gospel, but that afternoon he messaged me and he was like, hey Sarah, how's your summer going? When's the next Bible study? Yeah, so quite a few things happened like that. There were,
and I didn't know her at all.
Yeah.
I had just seen her at like that dance, so.
Yeah, I lured him in.
Yep.
So that's how we met. That's our love story.
That was the start of our love story.
That's the start.
The last 4 years has still been a love story. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's gotten better. Yes, it has. Okay.
The love story doesn't have to end once you get married.
No, it does not. I think it actually gets better.
Yeah. Just don't forget to keep dating your wife.
Yes.
And don't forget to keep dating your husband.
Yes, I agree. Okay, because this is, we're trying to give somewhat detailed answers. We're gonna stop this video and then do a part 2. So, thank you for watching, and thank you for my wonderful husband for joining me today, and we'll do a part 2.